let's talk sovereignty, the electromagnetic field, and fairies. So sovereignty is our birthright. It is our power to create our reality and also our responsibility to take care of ourselves within our reality and reign. So, in order to be sovereign, we must be conscious of our electromagnetic field. The way that I like to look at our electromagnetic field as individuals is by seeing it as an orb. So this means like a sphere. It is a energy body that goes beyond just our physical body, but our physical body is made from this energy. And so we can liken it to planets, stars, and cells, right? Photons. There's all kinds of orgons. We can go all different directions with this. But when we take our sovereignty and step into it fully, we are stepping fully into the consciousness of our orb, of the energetic field of which we are. And so we need to learn how to work with our energetic orb. How do we create reality this way? How do we do inner alchemy? How do we create magic? How do we manifest something or create actual magic in the physical world? And these are all things that are within our power when we are sovereign. So in order to understand the electromagnetic field, let's go ahead and go to the very beginning. So in the beginning, we have the one, or the only thing that exists, the one spot of source, spirit, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. And this one source splits into magnetic poles. And in between is where all the different frequencies, the infinite frequencies that split or multiply from this initial split. And that brings us to our human form and all of the other dimensions beyond this human form that we may or may not be conscious of. And so with this splitting, it creates a torus. This torus is created, and what it does is it is the electromagnetic field of those two poles. So on the physical body, you could potentially think of this as the crown chakra and the root chakra. And those two chakras are the ones that are plugged into the poles of your existence. And they are creating the torus, or the energy field that you are of. And all those chakras in between are creating all the different frequencies that move and create reality. And so that's why it's important to look at your chakras. It's important to upkeep your physical body by working with chakras. That's why it's a very popular way of working with your body in order to create change or create your reality in whatever way you need to. And we can use that in order to check in with ourselves and our orb. I like to take it a step further and use those as tools, chakras as tools to check in. But the real sovereignty of your whole being comes from the ability and the responsibility that you're claiming your power by taking responsibility of all of the energies that infiltrate and circulate throughout your field. Our physical bodies are made of mostly water in order for this circuitry to move through us, which is why it's important to stay hydrated, especially when you're clearing or moving energy, because it will help you actually move and clear that energy. And this is why our physical bodies are made of earth, because they literally ground this energy. They ground us. They ground the energy that is constantly being circulated, the electricity that is constantly being circulated through our bodies in order for us to live. This is the prana, the chi. This is the life force energy that is constantly infiltrating in order to create our reality in our physical bodies. So when you're psychic or you're sensitive and maybe you go to the store and you are bouncing into other people's orbs, every individual, just like every individual cell, has its own space, its own sphere. And when we go to places that are crowded, or we have maybe a lot of friends, we've got a lot of relations, we've got a lot of connections, we are becoming conscious of how we relate with planets, how we relate with our own astrology and how that shows up in our natal chart, when we are relating with stars, or tapping into any star consciousness. All of those things, especially channeling too, of course, if you are drawn to channeling a certain entity or being, or channeling beings from mythology, or channeling a planet or a star, when you do those things, your energy field is consciously converging and connecting with another. This is why it's so important to be sovereign, so that when you disconnect from that energy and you are with yourself and you have stopped channeling or stopped hanging out with that friend or stopped going to the store, you came home, when you go back to you and yourself in your field, you have to know what is your energy and what has been accumulated or connected by another's. And either way, no matter what that kind of energy is, whether it is something that is going to cause problems or frustration, or it's going to help you feel really good and feel at peace or feel happy, either one of those ways that it could go, you have to know if it's something that you want to accept in your field. And not just when you get home, right? When you are communicating with someone and they are giving you their perspective by being in your field, you have to be aware and be sovereign about what energy of theirs you're going to integrate and say, yeah, that I can integrate that information, or what information comes through that you decide, I don't want to integrate that information. What do I do with that? How do I work with this? Because things that are said cannot be unsaid. Energy that is pushed out cannot be put back in. It's the conservation of energy. It's going to constantly go and go and go. And it is up to us as sovereign beings to decide how it goes. What is your perception of the reality that you are living in? So how do we do this? Especially for people who are feeling bombarded by other energy. That can be very overwhelming. It can feel like you don't have gravity within yourself. And that is the most important thing about being sovereign, is to have your own gravity. Just like Earth. Earth is a sovereign being. Earth has gotten to the point where their embodiment is of their sphere, of their orb that I'm speaking about. And so Earth has taken full sovereignty and materialized as who they are, as this orb that we all are now a part of. So what do we do? How do we continue to be sovereign? How do we act like Earth? When people talk about healing and giving it to the earth, or neutralizing it through the earth, or naturalizing it through the earth, why is the earth able to naturalize and neutralize? Shouldn't we be able to? We are Earth. So we should be able to do the exact same thing. It is the power of sovereignty that we need in order to do this. And so just like Earth, we have poles of our body, just like she does. And we have an energy current constantly, a torus constantly moving energy. And that is how our reality is created moment by moment by moment. Which means that in every single moment, we have the ability to be sovereign and to decide how reality looks, how we perceive it, and where it's going to go, and how we're going to handle it. The gravity that we have. And what does this look like? So, let's say that I am interacting with someone who says something that hurts me, or says something about me that makes me feel harmed or feel interference of some sort. When this interference goes through the channel of my body, when I am conscious of this energy going through my body, I can pinpoint where this energy is getting stuck. Where in my body, whether it's my physical body, or maybe it's tied to a memory or a story that we would tell ourselves. Maybe it's attached to a core belief. Maybe it's attached to a fear. When we recognize what this energy is bringing up for us and making us sensitive to, we can tend to whatever that blockage may be. So maybe this person said something that brought up a sensitivity of a belief that I had about myself. And when it comes back up, I don't believe that. I don't believe that's true anymore. I used to believe that was true. I used to tell myself a story like that. But now I don't believe that anymore. So what do? How do I allow this to not infiltrate my system and not add to any blockage that it's being attracted to within my own self? Well, we go to whatever that thing is that is being brought up, and we unlock whatever it is in that cell of ourselves that is holding down some sort of reality that does not resonate. And once we do that, this might not feel very fun, right? This is where we get into maybe some trauma, abuse, all kinds of things like this. Core wounds, whatever language you want to use for it. But we get down to this and we decide it's not resonant anymore. And thank you so much for pointing it out, because it's not resonant. And I don't want it to continue to make me feel sensitive anymore. I don't want to feel like my whole system has been interfered with. I don't want it to feel like I've been shaken up, that my gravity was somehow not strong enough for me to not feel sensitive in that moment when you said that thing. So there's a process there that has to happen where you look at that thing that you have a sensitivity about and decide how you need to release it from your system because it doesn't resonate. Once you do that, you literally have cleared your own system. You've cleared whatever blockage might have happened for you with that interaction. And when you clear that, you take that energy and it is naturalized, it is neutralized. And you do not feed the energy of that which you do not want in your reality. This is how you are sovereign in your reality, because you know what's not for you anymore. You know what resonates because you know how you resonate. You know the sound of what is you. You know the way you look to you. You know how you see yourself. You know the perspective that you stand in your gravity with. So what happens then is this energy is going to go through your system and it's going to circulate back out and it's going to come back in again. As within, so without. So it's going to continue showing up in your reality. This is the karmic wheel, the circle of life, seasons. Again, Earth also experiences these things because we are all orbs. And when it comes back through, if you have fully cleared whatever that thing is that was creating any blockages for you, it's going to go through your system with your new perspective. It's going to hit your crown, your third eye, new perspective of what this actually means for you in your reality and how that's not actually true for me. And then it's going to go down through your throat and you're going to express it because you are going to be clear and you're going to say, that's not my reality. Or you're going to say, I need to have a conversation with you about this because that doesn't work for me. That's not what I'm about. And then it's going to clear your heart because you are listening to yourself and your intuition and you're showing up for yourself. You are courageous and you are brave, which is going to clear through your solar plexus because you are shining as you should. You are shining as this core star that you have within you, that you are. And then it's going to clear your sacral, all of the emotions attached to it. Any single emotion from any time and space is going to be cleared from your sacral. And then it's going to go through your root and it's going to hit any possibility of any bit of that blockage having materialized in your root, in the root of who you are, of which all of reality comes out of, all of reality is birthed from. And then it's going to go back out through your system and come back through again. And the more clear that you can be every single time, the less interference you're going to feel. You're going to hold that resonance within you a lot easier. And so how do we continue to integrate this idea of sovereignty of our orb self when we aren't being bombarded with energy that we need to constantly clear? We are just walking through the store one day and we just need to be able to go through the store and feel our own gravity and feel our own sovereignty and feel that we are safe and we are strong and we are capable and all those things. That is simply being able to feel into the energy field of which you are and all of those multidimensional parts of it. So this we can look at in different dimensions. We can talk about it in stories. We can talk about it in lifetimes. We can talk about it in actual events throughout our lives. We can talk about it in emotions, all of those things. So if I'm more and more aware of what creates me, what stories create me, what beliefs create me, what connections create me, when I'm aware of all of those multi-dimensional parts of this giant orb of which I am, then I have a boundary. I know where that boundary is. I know what I am. I know what I am not. I know what I am so well that if anything comes into my reality that is not resonant, I am able to let it filtrate and clear through my system so that I can continue to create the reality that I want to perceive and not be controlled by someone else's reality, or they're trying to press some sort of perception onto you. And what does this have to do with fairies? Fairies are elementals. Elementals meaning they are the telluric realm, which is all of the elements that create our reality. So they are able to manipulate reality via elements, just as we are. But they literally are those elements in their physical form, meaning they show up as their orb selves. We have a physical 3D body that we are constantly trying to, or we are constantly on the path of integrating this orb self. And the more that we can step into this orb self, the more we become like the fairies, the more we become like the devas, the more we become like the nature spirits and the beings that are purely who they are, clearly and coherently.